to the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And it's me, it's Dante. I'm always here. I don't think I've had an episode of Off the Mats where it has been me. My other podcasts, I've had other people do it for me because, we can afford to do that. But this week on the podcast, I want to continue kind of this theme of speaking with folks from where I train at Crazy 88 MMA, whether it be Elk Ridge, Severna Park. I've never made it out to Owens Mills, but I'm not afraid to have them on either. I ain't scared of them. But this week on the podcast, I would like to sit down and chat with one of our I don't want to say recently promoted purple belts, I guess this year, so I guess that's recent, but active competitor and just all around badass, Miss Annabelle Christie. Hello, Annabelle, and welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's Friday, so it's we're at the end of the week, and it's that time to record. So I wanted to really sit down with you and just learn your jiu-jitsu story, your journey, and things like that, because I think I was coaching the kids class way in the beginning. I think you and your brother were there.
Yes.
And I remember seeing you all on the mats and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then when I left and I come back and you're like a blue belt and you're like just storming the gates and just beating everyone. I was like, oh, okay. So I must know more. So I guess how I would like to first start off with this is asking, what got you into jiu-jitsu in the first place? Like what led you here?
Yeah, so it's been a while since I started, honestly, but I was around 14 when I started, right during COVID, getting towards the tail end of it. And, I've been in between sports for a little bit. I've always done sports as a kid, wasn't really doing anything in the beginning of high school. And I was like, I've always wanted to try something like jiu-jitsu, and thankfully Crazy 88 was super close to us, the Severna Park location. So I ended up going there and not to some other random gym. And yeah, I just fell in love right away. Like in the first couple of weeks, I was like, this is so much fun. Like I was having a great time. My whole family trained with me. My dad and my sister were doing the Muay Thai side. Me and my brother did jiu-jitsu, and I honestly love the environment, love the coaches, and really took to it very quickly. Yeah. So I was pretty much hooked once I started.
Good. Obviously, so I guess when I look at it that way, because it's like I remember again when you were there in the beginning, and then here you are still just, going through the routine of it, and not just going through the routine of it, but really excelling at, the sport and the art itself. You said that played other sports prior. Like what other sports were you into before?
I mean, I was one of those kids who kind of did a little bit of everything. I was on the swim team for a little bit. I played some soccer. I did some tennis. But my main thing was I did figure skating for a really long time, probably 6 or 7 years. And then I did end up getting injured, had to drop it. And I was like, it kind of was a hole for me because I've always been a sports person. I always had that sport to go to. So I was very, in between sports, I was very depressed and sad, and I was like, I need something where I can be active in some way. And so it really did fill that hole for me.
Good. So it basically, once you got into jiu-jitsu, it wasn't even like the idea of oh, this is a cute little hobby I'm going to do. It was like, all right, we're going in and we're just going to conquer something else today. All right.
Yeah, I've always been pretty competitive. So once I realized that there was an ability to compete in it, I think I did my first competition after training for maybe 3 months. And so once I realized I was able to compete and take it to the higher level, that was something that really interested me. Because when you start sports a little later, you start something new at 14, usually there's not really an opportunity to compete at the higher level. So it was really cool to be able to start it later and still be able to I competed at the world championships. So like take it to that higher level.
Sure. Yeah. That's one thing that I always try to tell my friends who don't train. One of the neat things about jiu-jitsu is, like we, grew up playing basketball, playing football and stuff like that. And there's really not an opportunity for you to really get there unless you are like, even in jiu-jitsu, you have to be dedicated, but you still get an opportunity. You have
Yeah.
those shots.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, like with the other sports, you don't have that. And I always tell my friends is like, in jiu-jitsu, you have the chance to compete on a big stage. You get to meet, I don't know, I never think of jiu-jitsu like high level grapplers as like celebrity necessarily, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of like, I'm not going to play ball with LeBron James, but you might bump into Ryan Hall or Nicky Rod or Gordon Ryan, someone like this, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I just went to a seminar and that's who was there. So early on, when you started training, what were some of the I guess challenges or some of the obstacles that you face early on in your white belt days specifically?
Yeah. As a white belt, I was still kind of young when I started, so I was like almost in between like kids classes and adult classes. So um definitely in the beginning I didn't have all of the training partners. I'd go to the adult class and like get beat up by everybody who's been doing it longer, go to the kids class and everyone was like a lot smaller than me. So it definitely took me a little bit to like really get the hang of things because I was like mostly training with people who are like in such a different league from me. Like, and everyone my size had been training for so much longer. Like, I trained with the Costas a lot because they were around my age, but they were like gray yellow belts when I started. So definitely the first 6 months to a year, I was getting beat up every day. Kind of going through the rough early stages for sure.
Oh yeah. Were there any doubts in your mind doing this, or were you like, coming from, again, figure skating and just doing other sports, did you just figure like, what, this is just how it rolls?
Yeah, I was pretty used to being in a competitive environment. Like every time I've played a sport, I've been pretty serious about it, been serious about wanting to compete. So I'm pretty used to like being in a tougher environment, being with coaches who are a little bit harder on you. So I actually I feel like took to it more because of that, because it was something I was very used to.
Okay, that's cool. Like, I always find, some folks, they have to kind of mold into that. It's like you come in and you may not be used to, like Coach Keith, instructing you, or Master Julius,
Yeah,
asking like, well, why did you make that decision?
yeah,
Like, well, I thought it was right. It's
yeah,
clearly not.
yeah,
So, coming in and, that actually being almost somewhat like, what were used to or were looking for, that's really unique and awesome to see.
yeah, yeah.
So, once you transition to blue belts, you really started, I guess, kind of, popping up on radars. Like people are like, oh, like, look at this kid out here, like just smoking people. Now you got eyes on you and stuff like that. Um, Obviously now it becomes a little bit more serious. What was it like trying to balance your training with, school, just everyday life in general for you?
Yeah, well, the beginning of Blue Belt was definitely like kind of rough for me. I remember the coaches, they would make me go compete at Blue Belt, but they wouldn't let me wear my Blue Belt in the training room. They wouldn't promote me. So I'd go to all these competitions and I'd fight at Blue Belt, and then I'd go back to training and have to put on my little gray belt, my little kid's gray belt. Um, they wouldn't promote me until I won a regional at Blue Belt. Um, so honestly, it was like a lot of imposter syndrome at the time, especially because I just started going to Elkridge. Everyone at Elkridge is like definitely on the high end competitive. Like they're all like competing at the majors, and I was like, I was in there, but it was definitely tough. That was definitely the toughest period, especially mentally for me. Just being with all of those really good people and like going to compete at blue belt, but not being a blue belt. It was definitely an experience. I was homeschooled luckily that whole time, so it was pretty easy for me to balance training with school. My parents were pretty supportive, even though the drive to Elk Ridge is quite far for me, around 40 minutes. But usually, as long as I was locked in on my schoolwork, they were pretty supportive of taking me when they could and making sure I got to training because they saw how passionate I was about it, and they wanted to, even though they had doubts at the beginning about whether it would actually be something I'd end up really doing, they were willing to support it and bring me to practice, which I'm very grateful for.
I think that's a parent thing, though. I have a 9-year-old, and anytime she's excited about a new activity, we're like, okay, we're going to support you through this, but we're prepared for the change up, which, well, at 9, it's a lot different than, once you're like in your teens.
Yes,
like,
for sure.
So, and shout out to the homeschool kids. My kid's homeschooled, and she just, does acting, which isn't bad, but it's like, come on, go fight somebody, not on stage, please. Yeah, Elk Ridge is tough. Anytime I go over to Elk Ridge, I get reminded, like, oh yeah, you guys were like, yeah, you guys, all of them. Like I'm just here on a day off from work. I was just looking for a space, and they're like, oh yeah, we got space. And when I think, what last Sunday I went in and trained, and Baird hit me with the snap down that I was not prepared for, and my knee had just recovered in a way I hit the mat. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go sit down now. Let me chill.
Yeah.
So competing at those blue belt levels, what was it like? Winning early on there, or when you started winning, what was that like for you?
Honestly, the way my wins came, when I very first started, I was winning everything right off the bat. Like all my first competitions, like at local grappling industries and stuff, I won right away. And then when they let me compete at blue belt, I did my first IBJJF major, and I did pretty good. I went and I took double silver. I was very like happy with that, but you know how IBJJF is. Everyone's different. So I was kind of got this false confidence going into the next one. And, from there on, it was a little of a rough streak, couple losing tournaments before I was able to get everything together. And then I won the open class at New York, and that's when I finally got promoted. And then after that, it was an easier run for me. I was mostly winning all the regionals and starting to work towards trying to win that major title. So, but I feel like I definitely had some humbling experiences in the very beginning for sure.
Oh yeah, sure. What was the biggest technical leap that you made during that transition, like during your blue belt like time?
Yeah, there was this training camp that we did before my very first Worlds, and I trained with Pyron and Vanessa, who are both very high level. Pyron won multiple world championships. She was juvenile 2 at the time. And then obviously Vanessa's a black belt. And I was in there getting beat up every day for sure, but I definitely made some big jumps in my game, especially in my guard, because they were both always passing, It was definitely a very difficult training camp, but then when I went to the tournaments after that, it was like, these guys are not anywhere near the level of the people I was training with. So that training camp definitely really helped me a lot. I made like some big improvements from being like this baby new blue belt to somebody who could actually like compete and win at blue belt. So that definitely helped me a lot, that training camp.
Yeah, I always try to like think about it that way with the folks at our gym. It's like, I try not to beat myself up too bad when I'm getting smashed, because it's like, these are like world champions here.
Yeah.
That I'm dealing with. And then if I go visit another gym and I'm just not necessarily running through people, but I'm having some success, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something's clicking. But never in a room. It never clicks in a room. So I wonder if it's because, we're all working on the same things, and then It's like, well, they've already seen, like, hey, oh, here comes Dante with his knee cut. That ain't
Yeah.
gonna work. So, speaking of, um, techniques and things that we work on, did you, along that path, during blue belt, did you start to develop kind of a signature style or, favorite, like guard or submission or anything during that time?
Yeah, I'm kind of known at Elkridge for being like pretty much the only person who plays worm guard, anything with the lapels. I remember there was this class where Master Julius taught passing for worm guard, and none of us knew what it was. We were like, what are we drilling right now? I remember being very confused, but I definitely didn't get the passing side of it, but the position, I was like, this is really cool. And my game plan has always been, I'm not like super explosive, super scrambly, super fast. I don't want to have to like wrestle up after somebody. I want to slow the match down, and so entanglement was always something that worked really well for me. So when he showed that entanglement, I started drilling it a little bit, asking some questions, getting some stuff, and it really became something that has worked super well for me. I used it to win the World Championships and the Pan Championships this year, and I really took to that a lot, and it pretty much became my like signature style.
Yeah, worm guard. I think the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna learn it just to defend it, but I don't know if that's my game. But just kind of hearing you though point out, kind of slowing the pace down for others and the entanglement being kind of the path to that. I'm all for that life because I, I'm old. I got a bad hip. Sometimes I be tired. Like, yo, that's why I love the gi. I'm like, yo, y'all got to slow down. I'm like, why y'all
Yeah,
moving so much? Like, no gi
exactly.
people. So once you got promoted to purple, what was that like for you? What were the emotions and the feelings?
It was honestly like the most surreal experience ever. I was promoted on the podium at Worlds after winning it, and I genuinely believed that I was not gonna get promoted after winning the Worlds. I don't know why, but I did not expect to get promoted at all. So I was on the podium, got my gold medal and everything, and then Vanessa comes in with the purple belt. Promotes me on the podium, and I was crying. I was crying because I was like so emotional, so overwhelmed. I really didn't expect to get promoted at that point. So it really like I guess that's like almost the ideal promotion, to get like promoted on the podium after winning such a big tournament. So it was really like a very, very surreal, one of my most treasured moments ever, for sure. For sure.
That's cool. Like, I can imagine that's just got to be just so crazy after going through the competition, fighting for your life out there, and just now I was like, okay, let me go collect my hardware, and then it's like, oh, there's more.
Yeah.
Cool. And at purple belt, how different has the competition felt for you versus at blue belt?
It's definitely been a big jump. I would say at blue belt, everybody's kind of good at like one thing, or like everyone kind of has their one thing they're good at. But at purple belt, everyone's good at everything. Like, I'll scout girls for competitions and I'll be like, oh, this girl wants to play guard. But even when that girl's on top, her passing is like, it's on, it's there. It's not like she can't pass just because she wants to be on bottom. So everyone's definitely been a lot more well rounded. The level's definitely been a little bit of a jump for me. But I was very excited to get the chance to like dive into that new level, fight some new girls, because I fought most of the girls at the blue belt. I've like fought some of them twice, seeing all the same faces. So it was definitely a challenge, but I feel like a very good challenge to have the next level to step into.
Good. In with having success in the open class, like, what is competing against bigger opponents like? What do you take from that in terms of lessons about your game?
Yeah, honestly, I like the open class a lot. Usually I try to do it when I can, because I feel like there's not as much pressure on it. If you win the open, especially as someone at one of the lighter weights, it's like a pretty cool thing to do. But also, if I lose to someone bigger than me, nobody really cares too much. So it's kind of fun to get to fight at the level without as much pressure. So I really enjoy it. I fought bigger people and I've lost them. I fought bigger people and I've beat them. And I feel like it does make me more technical because I have to change my game plan a little bit going into those matches against the bigger girls than what I would do against people my size.
That's what I kind of think of when I'm in the training room. Even though I'm one of the bigger dudes, like I still think like, well, look, if I get smoked by somebody bigger than me,
yeah,
I was supposed to.
exactly.
Like, unless it's like a really big white belt, then I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and sit down over here.
Yeah,
Rest my knee. And had you felt any extra pressure, as you've entered into purple belt with kind of the reputation that you've built coming from blue belt?
I definitely felt a little bit. Yeah, I did my first regional like maybe a month and a half after I won the worlds at purple belt, and I remember Master Julius kept telling me, it's not been that long since you won the worlds. You're going in there and everyone's seeing you as this blue belt world champion. They're seeing you as this kind of potential threat. So it's like, here's where you either win or lose, and it's a whole new level. You can't really rely on that title anymore. That was blue belt. We're at a different place now. All of these girls have like achieved big things. So I did definitely feel some pressure going into that first regional. I was like one of the most nervous I've ever been going into that. It was definitely because it was like I've fought purple belts in the room, but I've never competed against any purple belts. So honestly, my biggest fear was like, are these girls so much better than me that I'm about to get like smash past to mount and submitted? I was like, that's really what I don't want to happen. I want to be able to at least kind of hang in with them a little bit. So after that competition, it was definitely very relieving because it was like, I'm at this level with these girls. I can hang in with them. I can beat some of them. I can lose to some of them, but I'm not like completely getting annihilated. So it was good to see.
Like you felt like you do belong at this table.
Exactly. Yes.
Are there any specific areas right now of your game that you're trying to focus on, just kind of fine tuning?
Yeah, for sure. Before the Worlds, I was really focusing on my guard because we all knew that was what I was going to be using to try to win the tournament. And now that we're kind of a little bit in the off season, I've been working a lot on passing because my passing was definitely quite behind. I'm not really a top player. I don't really like to pass, so I never really did it. But I'm kind of at that level where it's like it doesn't really matter what you prefer and don't prefer. You need to be well-rounded at everything. So I've been working a lot on my passing. It's definitely a struggle, but I feel like it is coming along slowly but surely, which is good to see.
That's good. Good. Yeah, I feel like as you excel in other things, like as you've been doing well with everything, it's just a matter of, all right, well, I don't really want to do this, but if I got to, I may as well go ahead and put this in my toolkit, and we'll use it when we need to, I guess.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about training at 88 and kind of, the culture there that we've developed as a team. I always say we, like I'm out there like, writing the plans with them, like, yeah. And then next time to say this. Like how has training at Crazy 88 shaped you as an athlete, up to this point?
Yeah, it's definitely a very competitive place to be, but that's kind of what you need when your goals are so high. And it really helps that everyone is trying to achieve the same goals. Like there's multiple people in there who are world champions. They're trying to become world champions. Everyone's kind of at the same level trying to achieve that same high level. So it really helps to have such a competitive, intense room. If I'm like kind of slacking on a day, I'm like, oh, maybe I should just take off. Everybody in there is like holding you accountable. Like, where were you at practice? You're supposed to be here where you got this big goal you're trying to achieve. So it makes the room pretty intense at times, especially during the competition season. But honestly, that's something that's very necessary when you're trying to achieve such a high level. And it really keeps everybody kind of pushing each other forward because, we all have this big goal we're trying to get to.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're only as strong as, the teammates standing across from you in the training room, who's standing next to you in the training room, really. So, if you're doing well, the next person's doing well. If that person's doing well, you're doing well. That, even though I don't compete, I still think about that when I am training with certain people. It's like, I know you've got something coming up, so I'm going to try to give you something at the very least.
Exactly.
So yeah, we can't get better without each other, Annabelle. Can't do it.
Exactly.
So what's a typical training week look like for you, between drilling, sparring, and strength conditioning, things like that?
Yeah, so I train a lot right now. So Monday, Wednesdays are pretty much the same schedule for me. I'm there usually around 10:30, try to drill for an hour before the morning class when I can. Then the morning class runs from 11:30 to 1. I do that class. Usually I spar for about 40 minutes during that class. And we have our awesome strength and conditioning. We condition at Odyssey Strength and Conditioning. And honestly, that's made such a big difference in my game plan. I was not a particularly strong athlete, and I'm still not, compared to other people, particularly strong, but I'm definitely at the same strength as the girls in my division. I'm not getting manhandled. So that's definitely made a big difference. So we go there for about an hour from 2 to 3, and then I come back, coach some kids' classes, and then usually do the evening class again for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how long the class runs. So it's definitely a full schedule, but I try to train in the morning about 3 times a week, as well as night training, and then I also try to strength and condition about 3 times a week. And then, of course, I'm at night class pretty much every day.
Dude, I just got exhausted hearing your schedule. Jeez Louise. Like, I need to take a break right now. Now that's awesome. Like, just again, like you said, having high goals and, aspirations, you got to do that.
Exactly. And I definitely started a little bit later, so it's those hours have to be put in somehow. So I'm trying to make it up as much as I can by training as much as I can. And I feel like that's made a big difference in helping me like kind of catch up a little bit to everybody else.
Sure. Especially, getting it now, like being younger, especially. It's like, because like imagine coming in at, I don't know, 36. And it's like trying to run that schedule. You might be able to get away with it for like maybe a year.
Yeah. But it'll catch up to you for sure.
Eventually you're like, oh, arthritis in that hip is starting to feel weird. The shoulders start flaring up. And then one day you just wake up and you're like, you know what? Let's go from 6 days to 5 days, and then 5 turns to 4, and then who knows? But, keeping a high motor and just good training regimen is super important. So it's good to hear, you've got that in check.
Yeah.
Do you have teammates and mentors even, that especially push you, along the way, during your training sessions, and kind of keep you, I guess, pepped up?
Yeah. Pyron's one of my closest friends at the gym. And she, even before I started training there, she's always been super competitive. Like even back as a kid all the way up to now, she's always been competing at the highest level. So to come in and have someone like that be your closest friend, it really was very motivating because, she's always been putting in the work to be at that level. That's just part of her daily routine. So when I was getting used to that, it was a lot of encouragement from her. She's been through all the phases, the burnout, everything. So she's very much able to motivate me, motivate each other to be at class, to like put in the work for the different competitions, and to stay, positive about it the whole time.
Cool. It's always good to have someone to grow with.
Yeah.
I used to think about that when I was a white belt. There's a group of us that starts like, guys, we're going to do this together. We're going to grow and become blue belts. And I turned around, I was like, yo, where they at?
Exactly.
Like, did they leave? You're supposed to quit at blue belt, not white. But having someone to kind of climb those, those ranks and push each other, it's so important. So glad you guys are there for each other in in that department. Uh, and as far as like competitive mindset and preparation, you know, how do you mentally prepare for tournaments? Like, is there anything specific that you do, or you just kind of roll out there like and just rock, just like, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, I mean, I usually have the same routine. Like, I'm always like listening to the same music in the bullpen, wearing the same stuff, keeping everything very familiar for myself. I definitely had a lot of competition anxiety when I started. I was very nervous. Like, I'd be getting ready to fight, and my legs would be like feeling weak and all of that. And honestly, it's just exposure. I've competed so much now that I'm kind of used to it. But back in the early stages, it was a very nerve-wracking experience for me, even though looking back, like, I was fighting at grappling industries, nothing to be that nervous about. But it definitely takes a while of like exposure to that atmosphere to get comfortable in it. And now I would say I'm pretty comfortable in it. Even when I go to the majors, like, I put my headphones on, listen to my competition playlist, and usually I'm pretty set.
Cool. And what's on that playlist?
There's a variety of different stuff. Mostly some Drake, some Kanye, a lot of modern rap stuff.
Hey, I'm not judging. Not judging. Like the way you're saying is like, oh, he's about to judge me. No, I don't. Hey, music is music. I listen to Sade before I come in the train. So, like, now once we're on the mats, I hope that we're listening to something a little bit heavier. But coming in, I have to listen to something to calm me down. Like, I have really bad anxiety just going to train. So I listen to something calming to kind of like get me relaxed. I wear a heart rate monitor to kind of check everything, and it's like I'll park and I'm already at like 103. I'm like, oh my god, like what's going on? Let's listen to Smooth Operator here, and then kind of come down a little bit to like 67. But that ritual of music before getting on the mats, I think, is super duper important for a lot of folks. And then there's some that don't. They're just like, I just go out there and train.
Yeah.
That's a psychopath. And do you study opponents, as you're, prepping for tournaments or yeah, like as you're getting ready, you see your brackets, are you scoping out the competition?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very I'm a little bit OCD about that. I'll be looking at my opponents, and you can use the points they have to figure out what the brackets are going to look like before they come out. So I'll be like generating my own brackets of who could be where, so I know, like, I can be as prepared as possible going into the tournaments. Like, I'm scouting all the girls in the bracket. So I'm watching like 15 plus girls footage for the bigger tournaments. Like, I really, even though it doesn't change my game plan too much, I just like to be a little bit more aware of everything, and it makes me feel more prepared. And again, it keeps me calmer to like not have that sense of uncertainty. Like, I know what this girl's gonna do. I know what she's won. I know, like, about where we are. So I'm really into that. I definitely am pretty big into scouting and stuff like that.
That's cool. It sounds like I think about like high school football, college football, as the coaches like, all right, we got Penn State coming up next week.
Yeah.
Get to the film room.
Yeah.
Like, they like to run this play every time. It's the sixth play of the game. They run it every time.
Pretty
Make
much.
them pay.
Pretty much, yeah.
What has competition like kind of taught you about yourself on and off the mats?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like competing has, like, it's made me a lot tougher, mentally and physically. I feel like going into most of my early tournaments, I was pretty doubtful of myself, and it's hard to find a balance between being overconfident and being like prepared and believing in yourself. It's difficult to find that balance, but I feel like competing a lot has helped me get to, like, instead of the negative self-talk, like the doubting, oh, this girl's so much better than me going to the match, like being able to focus on like I'm prepared, I'm here for a reason, I train hard, I work for this, I'm ready for this. So I feel like mentally it's helped a lot, as well as physically. I feel like a lot of times in the beginning I would almost have excuses for if I was gonna lose, like, oh, I hurt my ankle at practice, it's not feeling great. But definitely getting later into these tournaments, how you feel physically on the day, I still have a job to do. Like, I'm there for a reason. I'm there to win. So it's like, regardless of whatever nagging injury I have, if I wake up and I don't feel so good, it's like, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. I'm just there to compete. And if you let that into your head, it's gonna make it easier for you to lose. So
Sure. Um, yeah, there's always excuses.
yeah,
There's always an excuse. There's always a thing, but you can't let the thing control you.
exactly.
Or, in football terms, because Baltimore Ravens fans always want to say we had tons of injuries.
Can't blame the injuries.
So as far as the future of grappling for you goes, what are some of your short-term goals at purple belt? And I know you just came from Pans, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I did the nogi pans. I'm definitely not what I would consider like a nogi person. I definitely prefer gi. Most of my wins are in the gi, but Master Julius always is saying it's very important to make sure you're still going to competitions and fighting elite girls the whole season. So I can't really take the no-gi season off, because that would give me pretty much 6 months where I'm not fighting anybody who's super elite. So I went because it was pretty close. Challenged myself with the better girls. First major at purple belt, and I haven't been a purple belt for super long. Obviously a little bit disappointed with the result. You always go like wanting to medal or wanting to win, but I did feel like both of my matches were pretty good, very close matches. Both of them went to ref's decision, so it's like I'm like close to that level where I could, push it over the edge and improve everything a little bit and be able to like score those advantages, get the wins against these high level girls. So it did feel good to see my progress there, even though it wasn't the result I wanted. And then thankfully, gi season is coming up soon, beginning of the year, kicking it off with Gi Europe, which I'm very excited for. I love that tournament. It's really cool to get to travel out of the country, because I've never been out of the country except to compete at last year's Gi Europe. So I'm excited to get back into the gi and do my first gi major early January.
Okay, cool. See, that was my next question. I was like, what's coming up next? Like, I love when I'm doing these, and then the questions that, as I ask something, you answer before I get to it. It's like I like that, but drats, now I gotta scroll down just a little bit. You even beat me to my rapid fire. I don't even want to ask the one rapid fire now, because it's super obvious. You don't, it's like gi or no gi. Duh.
Gi,
Like, what do
gi
you
for
think?
sure.
Like, yeah. I mean, look, nothing wrong with the gi. Everybody who's anti-gi, y'all gotta relax.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, I'm not gonna stand for this gi hate. I'm gonna get a shirt that says I'm not gonna stand for gi hate, and
Yeah.
they got to stop this. So, looking ahead though, just, I know you're, fresh into purple belts. Like, get the first major out the way, coming up to Europeans and the gi and everything. How do you see your path, to brown and black belt down the line? I know this is down the line, but how do you see that path working out for you? Just heavy competition, coaching, even maybe, somewhere along those lines?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely love competing. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. So definitely going to be doing all the majors for a while to come. Hopefully it'll be a similar journey through the levels. The ideal goal is to win the worlds at purple belt, and then hopefully again at brown belt. We'll just see. It'll just be dependent on how many years it is in between those, how long it takes to achieve that. But definitely that would be the ideal path forward. As for coaching, I already coach some kids classes at Elkridge, and I really do enjoy it because, a lot of those kids are like they've started younger than me, so I really see the potential a lot because they're like half the age I was when I started, and some of them like really high level kids. So it's really cool to get to be able to like give them the same passion I have and like see them keep coming back to class, learning new stuff and improving. So I do really enjoy coaching. I'd love to keep coaching in the future, maybe expand to some more classes, do some private lessons, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, just hearing about just the film study alone, my first was like, oh, this is a coach I'm talking to right here. They get her to a college. Coach up one of these. I'm going back to football now. I'm like, coach up Delaware. They're like, they need some help. They won a couple nights ago, but still, they're not very good. And again, I know we're still early on, purple belt, and you're young, but what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Oh, that's
in jiu-jitsu?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. I feel like there's so many people at Elkridge who already have, a legacy that's bigger and better than what I could ever do. But, I feel like it's a very unique thing to be able to say you're a world champion, no matter what level it's at. It's such like, very few people are able to say that about any sport. So I feel like being able to win a world championship and then hopefully put in that same effort and produce the same result again is a very big thing to be able to do. I'm surrounded by so many multiple time world champions. It almost feels like that's the expectation, but I feel like it's kind of the goal is to be a multiple time world champion. And of course, eventually that black belt world championship is like the ultimate. Once you get to black belt, that's what everyone's working for pretty much. So that's the ultimate goal for sure.
It's always cool to see, someone get world champion, one belt, and then they go to the next belt and do it again, and they do it again and do it again, versus, you do it once and it's like, I think this is good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like I've had enough. Like, are you sure? And as far as off the mats, and I don't mean the podcast, like when you're not training, what do you like to do besides film study? Like,
honestly, I don't have that much downtime, so I really try to take advantage of it when I can. I love like just getting to catch up on whatever Netflix show I'm watching, stuff like that. Just really relax and hang out because there's so much time I'm training and like busy. It's nice to be able to just sit down and watch TV when I can.
Sure. Like how do you balance between being an active competitor and just being a young person? Like like I know when you get that downtime, it's like, look, let me just find a good show and relax. But even with that, do you have like a like that window, like it just happens to happen one day? It's like, oh my goodness, I've got an extra 40 minutes. Like, or do you like, say to yourself like, hey, I do have to schedule, some downtime for myself or, just social time for myself?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, usually I just take it where I can. Part of being like an elite level athlete is there's not really too much balance. Not as much as a normal person for sure. Most of my life is like centered around competing, training, and when I'm not doing that, I'm like meal prepping, doing strength and conditioning. But I do have like one off day a week, and usually I try to relax, sleep in, and then honestly, a lot of the times when I'm hanging out with other people who do jiu-jitsu, so they understand kind of the schedule we're in. We both have similar schedules, so it makes it a lot easier because they're not trying to take me away from training to go hang out. We just hang out when we have time that we're not training. So I feel like that makes it a lot easier for sure.
Definitely. That's really appreciated. When you're doing something, it's like when I first started training, I was just like, any chance I get. I was like, oh, I want to get out there. I want to train. Got friends like, hey man, let's go hang out. Let's do this. Like, no. I think for my birthday, my best friend, she took me ice skating. I don't want to ice skate. Go do jiu-jitsu. I think I was just under a year in. I was like, I want to ice skate. This is dumb. It's cold, and I'm gonna fall. But I was like, let's go do jiu-jitsu. And over the years, they realized, look, if we're gonna plan an activity, just schedule this dude. Like, let's do something where we're like, maybe go find a patch of grass in the backyard and wrestle. Something. This guy won't be happy unless we're wrestling.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get out of here, I'm gonna do rapid fire with you, but obviously I'm going to take one of those questions away because we already know the answer. But we still got a handful of other ones here for you. Mm-hmm. So the first one I like to ask you is, what's your favorite submission?
Favorite submission? I'm a huge fan of ankle locks right now. Definitely my highest rate submission. Big fan.
You seem the type. It's like, as soon as I look like, oh, like, man, ankle lock anybody, I bet. Like, I'm not about that life. As far as competing, do you cut weight?
Yes.
And what's the hardest part about cutting the weight for you?
Definitely the hardest part about cutting the weight is when you travel ways. It can be hard to keep your weight down when you're not training. So that's definitely the biggest thing is when the tournaments are farther away. It's harder to keep my weight down when I'm there for a couple days before I fight, but it's just part of the sport, just part of what I got to do.
Okay. It's part of the game. And this one, I will ask, do you have a dream super fight opponent that you'd like to square up with?
That's difficult. I don't know if I have a dream opponent. I'm usually pretty happy when I get to have rematches with people I've lost to before. That's definitely satisfying for me when I get to go back and get that win back against them. As for dream super fight, I don't know, but I do like when I get to get those wins back.
Like, the way you initially responded, I thought you're like, oh, I've been thinking about this all day. I was like, whoa. Like, settle down. This girl always ready to fight. And last one here. I know you mentioned skating before. If you weren't doing jiu-jitsu, what sport would you be doing? Would it be skating? I know you mentioned an injury there, or would you have tried to transition to something else?
I'm not really sure. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. It's been such a big part of my life now. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't doing it. I'd probably be very bored. But I did really enjoy skating, and if I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu, I definitely feel like I'd try to work my way back into that at some level.
But yeah, I always think about that now with my life. If I didn't have jiu-jitsu, how much of my world is encompassed by jiu-jitsu, not to the level of, like you all as competitors, but I still surround my day with how am I going to get the train in? I eat differently on days I'm going to train. Sometimes I fast, things like that. So if I weren't doing jiu-jitsu, I think I remember mentioning recently to my wife, I was like, I'd probably be playing a lot of video games. And that didn't make me happy, though. I wasn't happy playing video games. I was playing video games, throwing controllers against the wall and kicking tables over. So definitely don't do that with jiu-jitsu. There's video. Actually, Mark just mentioned to me, he reminded me, because I record whenever we train on Saturdays, and we got close enough to the camera where he grabbed the camera and he's got my back and he's holding the camera over us. So, I can't kick over a table in that moment. I can't throw a controller. All I can do is just pout and tell him I'm going to delete the footage.
Yeah.
But good. Well, Annabelle, thank you very much for doing this. And as we're just talking about, balancing your time and everything, thanks for sharing your time, because you're a busy person, you're active, and I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, do you have any shout outs or mentions you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Oh, I obviously just the gym I train at. If you ever need a place to train, definitely a very competitive gym, but a very good environment to be in. If you ever want to drop in, it's definitely come to Elk Ridge, because that's where I am, and I could use some more training partners. So,
well, absolutely. And as always, to you guys, the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything, please feel free to reach out. You can always find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram, or Off the Mats Podcast as well on Instagram. I would like to give a big shout out to my crew at Nerve Age Radio. And I mentioned this before, that I have a mug with all the names, because I always forget all the names because there's a bunch of them. It's like the Wu-Tang Clan. And I'm looking at this. This is a long list. So I don't think I'm going to go over all those names. But Bobby, Chris, Joe, at the top of the mug, Dante the Destroyer. That's me. I'm like top billing over there, son. But Marilyn, Phil, Raul, Ricky Ticky, okay, I can't read some of those names because those aren't okay names. I don't know why those names are mugs. But thank you to Nerd Rage Radio. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So, if you guys like the show, thank those guys. If you hate it, blame those guys. Either way it goes, it's their fault that I'm doing this. I'd also like to shout out my other podcast. So, you like horror? It's a scary movie podcast. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go check it out. I think what's going to be coming up soon is The Ring. We're still doing the theme of remake versus original, and we're going to be talking about Ringu and The Ring. Or that might have already come out by the time this episode comes out. But it'll be November. So we're definitely going to be talking about Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, because I missed the boat on it last year. So we're definitely going to sit down and talk about Thanksgiving. And we're prepping for our new theme of 2026 horror TV series. And we're going to kick off the year with Haunting of Hill House. So if y'all into scary stuff, go check out the podcast. It's not like a full storytelling. We don't tell you the whole movie because I'm not good at remembering stuff. But we do have a good conversation about themes and just different perspectives of the movie and our feelings on them. Some of them we have big emotions, some we don't. Some of them were just like, this was a good movie. We just recently talked about Sinister, and after rewatching it 6 times leading up, I realized I do actually enjoy that movie. So go check that out. So You Like Horror on Instagram, all the words separated by underscores, and you can find the podcast anywhere that where you listen to this at. It's probably there. Go check it out. And last but not least, I would like to thank my guest today and teammate over at Crazy 88 MMA, Elk Ridge, Severna Park, Orange Mills, Ms. Annabelle Christie. Thank you, Annabelle, for sharing your journey and sharing your time with us. We do appreciate you.
of course, it's a lot of fun.
Good. And again, to the listeners, you guys know what it is. We love you. You guys keep listening, and we're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.